How confident do you feel right now and in general? How confidently do you show up? And wouldn't it make a huge difference to your life if you could just be a lot more confident? Well, today I want to share with you a couple of interesting things I've discovered as I've unpacked my own history of gaining a lot of confidence and then losing some of it again. And this is all part of the mental health recovery that I have been documenting here on YouTube. So, confidence. I think it's no secret that being more confident has a lot of positive knock-on effects. If you're more confident, you probably have better social interactions, you show up in a better way, both socially in private and professionally. You're more likely to be taken seriously, to be seen as an authority figure. More confident people probably get more promotions and have higher salaries and all this kind of stuff, right? Clearly, being more confident has lots and lots of benefits. But let's not be too practical about it, because first of all, it just feels better. Being confident is a form of just kind of feeling comfortable in your skin and feeling good about yourself. And having more of that just makes your life better. In my own story, I know both sides of this, because if you graphed out my confidence over my lifetime, it's been a wild ride, okay? Let's say, if we start right at the beginning, as a baby, I must have been very confident. I feel like every baby, every toddler is pretty comfortable asserting themselves and having their needs known and so on, and we can't really self-reflect yet. We can't be like, oh, is this too much? Am I bad, right? So, okay, let's say as a baby, you start out very confident. And then in my case, that took a pretty steep drop. In my childhood and all throughout my teens, my confidence was terrible. I had really, really bad self-esteem. I felt worthless. I felt like the worst kind of loser. It was later on when I started really working on myself and I discovered personal development that this changed and my confidence started rising. And it got really, really high. At one point I was probably a bit much. I was probably a bit cocky, right? If you talk to people who knew me then, might have been a bit much, but needless to say, I have experienced what it's like to be extremely confident. And then, unfortunately, in recent years, as I've struggled with depression and some other problems, I've also felt that confidence waning. And in fact, I feel like it is a clear indicator of my mental health and of kind of how things are going in my life. It's a clear sign that something is going wrong, the fact that I just don't feel very confident anymore. Now, the question is, what creates confidence? What makes a person feel more confident? What comes to mind? Is it like how much money you have, how successful you are? Is it about good looks? Is it about how many friends you have? In a way that would make sense, right? You can imagine that, if you were super rich and handsome and you're surrounded by friends who love you, that would make you feel confident, right? But if I examine this in my own life, here's what I discovered. Let's go back to this graph. Let's take success first. Just use money as a proxy of this. Here's what the progression looks like roughly. Okay, I started out broke, as every child is. I started making tiny bits of money. And then eventually I started making more money. But note that my confidence was going up way before my success went up. And my success kept going up as my confidence went down. So clearly there's not a one-to-one correlation here. Okay, what about looks? Being beautiful must be a source of confidence. Well, what can I say about this? Again, I guess as a baby, everyone's cute, right? For me, when my teens hit, that was a bad moment, right? It was suddenly clear, okay, this one's not going to be very handsome. And maybe things got slightly better, but look, I've been in slightly better and slightly worse shape over the years. I've never been head-turningly handsome or anything like that, but it didn't affect my confidence when that was at an all-time high. So once again, no one-to-one correlation there. What about friends, social connections? Definitely, your social connections make a huge difference to your quality of life, to your mental health, and to how you feel about yourself. But again, if I look at this, if I graph this out, there were times in my life where I really didn't have much of a social life. I didn't have great social connections, and my confidence was just shooting upwards. And now, in the last years, that's basically been better than ever, even as my confidence has sloped downwards. So what we can basically see here is that these things that maybe we think are the cause of confidence clearly aren't. Maybe they're contributors, but there must be something else going on. So as I reached a low point in terms of my mental health a while back, and I started deciding, okay, I need to do things, I need to really take this into my own hands and start rebuilding. This is one of the things I looked at. And I asked myself, well, what are the things that I did differently when my confidence was so high? What are the things that make me feel more confident and make me feel better about myself? And I simply wrote down everything that comes to mind. And here's something very interesting that I discovered. For the most part, my confidence doesn't depend on these kind of external things or things I have, like how successful is my business, how much money do I have, how many friends do I have, anything like that. For the most part, it's connected to the things I do and who I am. Let me give you some examples. The clearest example of this is related to exercise and physical appearance. Okay, obviously, the more I exercise, the more it improves my physique. And again, that would be the kind of obvious thing. Oh, if you look great, you feel better about yourself. But if I really pay attention to what's going on, when I exercise a lot, I feel better about myself. My confidence goes up way before it has a physical effect, way before you see a difference in the mirror. And it's the same the other way around. If I stop exercising, if I don't exercise for like a week, I already feel way worse. But in the mirror, you can't tell. It takes longer for the effect to show either way. And I see the same pattern in other areas of my life. I feel better about myself and more confident when I'm doing creative work that feels good, that feels meaningful, when I'm basically experiencing myself working hard on creative things. That feels good. And yes, sometimes that leads to more money down the line, but really that doesn't matter when it comes to how I feel about myself. Or when it comes to friends, social interactions, and so on. What really improves my confidence has to do with how I show up. When I am kind of playful, when I get into a social flow, that feels good. And when I am not like that, if I'm kind of more withdrawn and I withhold myself from other people, even if I'm spending a lot of time around people who support me and care for me and so on, it's not about that. It's about how I show up. It's about what I do. And just one more example that stood out to me that's like that. I feel better about myself when I am learning actively instead of consuming passively. When I'm reading books and listening to podcasts and I'm taking notes and I'm actually making an effort to actively learn and integrate these things, that makes me feel better and more confident about myself. Whereas when I'm still reading and still consuming content, but I'm doing so passively, that makes me feel worse about myself. Now, not everything on my list is like that. There are some things that are more externally dependent that aren't immediately under my control. And that's fine. But what's really interesting is that there are many things on my list of things that make me feel good about myself and confident that I have direct control over. It's really up to me whether I do it or not. And this is what I recommend you do. If you want to improve your confidence, start here. Simply sit down and write down a list of everything that comes to mind of things that make you feel good about yourself and things that make you feel confident. And one way to do this is to think about times in the past when you felt especially good about yourself and think about, what did I do? What was it that made me feel like that? And also think about times in the past when you felt terrible, when your confidence was at a low. And you can also think about, well, was I doing things there? Maybe there are things there that I need to avoid, or the opposite of those things would make me feel confident. And you write down everything that comes to mind. And I'm pretty sure that you will find some quick wins on that list. I'm pretty sure you'll find some things on that list where you can say, you know what? I can just do that. I can just start doing that and I will feel better about myself. Is this the ultimate solution to every self-confidence problem you could have, and will it make you feel like a rock star? Well, probably not, but it's a really good start. And ever since I made that list and just started doing more of the things on that list, started pursuing some of those easy wins, I have felt infinitely better about myself. So I recommend you give this a try, and if you discover something interesting about your own relationship with your confidence, let me know by leaving a comment below.